Hello guys, Damien Jones here again for you today. And today I'm going to be taking a look with you at these two little chaps. This is, of course, YAK face from Return of the Jedi. And this is at least one of the rarest Star Wars figures from the vintage line you could ever wish to own. I had this figure as a kid back in 1985. Mine came on a tri-logo card. There are two card variations that I'm aware of anyway. One is the Power of the Force card, which came with a weapon, like with the chap here on the right, and also a collector's coin, which I unfortunately do not have. The other version, which was the version that I was given as a child, was the tri-logo version and was distributed by Palitoy across Europe. Now, the reason why this figure is such an absolute treasure and rarity among the last 17 line of vintage Star Wars figures is that, as you're aware, with the last 17 figures that were produced by Kenner, Palitoy and all the others, these were basically these figures were basically produced in response to the waning popularity of the Star Wars figure line at the time. Other toys like Action Force and things like that were beginning to become more popular amongst kids, and so this last 17 figures produced in the Star Wars line weren't particularly that popular. I'm going to be completely brutally honest with you now. My mother paid, back in the day, this is in 1985, not now, she paid £1.59 for my YAK face, and I couldn't stand it as a kid. I thought he looked ridiculous. I thought he looked like some kind of a Disney character or something, and believe it or not, I didn't even remember him or recall him in the background at Jabba's palace in the film. And so I didn't really play with my YAK face that much, and well, he met quite a bad end as well. All you collectors out there now will be absolutely gasping to hear that my YAK face, I actually twisted his arms and legs off and snapped his head off and destroyed him, basically. But you've got to remember, it was a long time ago. And at that age, I had absolutely no idea what this figure would be worth today. Now, if you want to buy a loose YAK face figure today, like these here, you can expect to pay loose, not carded, loose, a minimum of £180. And that is for a figure in really grotty, play-worn condition. To get one in lovely condition, like here, you can expect to pay at least £200 to own it. Now, even I'm gasping as a collector. This is a 3 3/4 inch plastic figure, right? Why is it worth so much? Basically, because of the waning popularity of Star Wars figures in 1985, the last 17, they weren't big sellers, they weren't very popular, and the last figure to be produced in the Star Wars line was actually ripped from the shelves. In fact, I'm not actually sure or not whether it even made it to the shelves, because a massive stock in America, a massive stock of these figures was simply withdrawn and destroyed. decimating the numbers of these in circulation. Now, as I say, here in Britain, I remember it on a Tri-Logo card, and I had it. And to be perfectly honest with you, as far as I was aware, anyway, I'm the only kid that I actually remember owning this figure. But nobody really cared back then because, as I say, the popularity was waning at that point. Yeah, so I was lucky enough to own this figure once, and now, as you can see, I own him again. And I'm not going to tell you what I paid for him, and I'm not going to tell you how I come by him, because that's my business. But believe you me, I certainly did not pay £200 for him, and I'm really proud of myself for that, because I'm a very shrewd collector, indeed. And I'm really proud to own this figure again, once more, and I appreciate him a lot more now in 2017 than I did back when I was 5. So, anyway, as I say, this was available here in Europe, Britain, and it was also available on a Power of the Force card with the coin in Canada, and that was it, really. So, they are out there, but there are a few things that you must be very careful of. There are a lot of copies floating around in circulation. There are a lot of people out there using 3D laser scanners, and they're producing almost identical copies of these figures. Obviously, you've got your usual lot that are recarding them and passing them off as original, and it's only when the unfortunate collector comes to getting the figures and cards graded that they realise they've been duped. So keep an eye out for that. Now, the reason why I bring that up in this video is because, believe it or not, I only really have one vintage YAK face figure. One of these figures is an imposter. Now, my imposter, my fake, bootlegged, ripped off, reproduction version, whatever you want to call it, in this case, he's actually quite easy to spot, and I'll show you that in a minute. But in other cases, he's not so easy to spot, and you really need to be careful of that. Now, I'm going to show you, I'm going to give it up now and tell you which is the official version. The official version in my case here is this guy, the one on the left. Okay, and this is the naughty YAK face here. So we're going to take a look at them both. First of all, the false YAK face doesn't even need a stand because he doesn't have any foot pegs. So we'll get that out the way. And before we take a look at that rotter, we'll take a look at the actual figure himself and take him in. Because it's been a long time, you know, I've not, until last week anyway, I've not seen this figure in a very long time. Let's take a look at him. As you can see, it's a lovely head sculpt, and he does look very much like a YAK face. He has a moustache, tight facial hair, lots of warts on his face, and a big YAK-like nose. He has this lovely fur scarf type thing on the go, and this raggedy maroon, almost t-shirt on, and he has this this royal blue under clothing with pockets and tassels and maroon shoes. Now, as I say, when I had this figure originally, mine never came with this weapon. I mean, I was only aware of this weapon, you know, in the past few years when I started recollecting these things. But this is the staff like laser that he will have come with, which is a lightish grey coloured type thing. There we go. He has amazing hands. And he's a really nice figure, actually. I really appreciate this figure. I appreciate a lot of the last 17 figures now as an adult. And it's not just because that they hold some value. Now, to make sure yours is original, there are things you need to look out for. Firstly, they must have foot pegs. And you'll also notice on mine as well, to further add credence to its authenticity, there's marker pen spots on the soles of the feet. Now, we all used to do that as kids. We either used to write our initials on the feet of our figures, or put a little star, or some sort of mark, so that when we took them to school, and obviously the teacher confiscated them, ours didn't get mixed up with, one of the Stiggy kids, these crappy, knackered, worn-out ones, because, all these figures were the same, weren't they? And somebody actually, bless them, took the trouble once upon a time to mark their YAK face as their own. And they did it quite discreetly as well, which makes a change. Now, there's a mark on the back of the leg, a single mark, which won't really focus on camera, but what it basically says is L is CLFL 1985. That's the mark on the back of the leg, which signifies that your YAK face is an official one. Now, the figure itself, it has 5 points of articulation. The head moves around. The arms move, and the legs also move. Okay. That is what you should expect from an official YAK face. Now, it doesn't really matter. I mean, especially if you're a British collector, it doesn't really matter if you can locate the weapon for him. But it's nice. It's nice to have it anyway. I'd actually like to try and locate the coin for him as well. Maybe we'll do that at some point. But there is the official vintage YAK face. And I'm really pleased I've got him. Now, let's take a look at and discuss some of the issues with these fake YAK faces. Now, this fake YAK face, again, it has the mark, but it's not as well defined. The mark is there. LFC, LFL, 1985, it is there, but it's not as well defined. Now, as I say, this particular YAK face, knockoff, isn't so hard to tell, because, as I say, there are no foot pegs. It's quite roughly cast as well on the feet. And also, none of the articulation works at all on this particular one, that is. It's completely fixed, which means it's been a laser scan and it's been cast in some sort of plastic resin. And then obviously painted, and very well, I hasten to add, very well painted to match as closely as possible the original. Now, be wary of these, because there are some unscrupulous buggers out there that actually use a razor file, and what they do is they buy one of these like this, and they very carefully remove the head, they remove the arms and the legs, and they file off the rough areas, and then what they do is they drill into here at the hip and at the shoulder, and they create pegs so that the figure can be articulated at the head and at the legs. And then it's when you start to have a problem, as to whether to spot whether your YAK face is an original or a reproduction, especially if the figure's on a card. Now, if you're buying a figure on a card, what you need to look out for is the original vintage cards, they have a much more glossy appearance than these reproduction ones, and also the bubbles which holds the figure onto the card, you'll see little lines around the four corners at the tops and the bottoms. This is where somebody's peeled away a sticker back, because that's how they attach the cards. They have a sticker back and they attach them to the repro card. The original, if you look very carefully, the glue which Palitoy or Kenner will have used will have had a slightly waffle effect to it, and that's how you spot whether yours has got a fake card or not. But there they are, guys. This is YAK Face, vintage Star Wars figure, last 17 from 1985, and also his modern reproduction. Be very, very careful of copies. Be very, very careful of them. Make sure that the YAK Face you're prepared to fork out £200 plus for is an original. They're out there, guys. Good luck finding them. Happy hunting, and I will see you on the next one. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. You're all welcome. And I'll be bringing you some more Star Wars figure videos very, very soon. And I'll also be covering the vintage Doctor Who line as well, if you're interested in that. Let me know what you think in the comments anyway, and I shall see you soon. Bye.